Hello everyone, my name is Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. We are reacting to Shoe on Head's The Male Loneliness Epidemic. Now, is there a male loneliness epidemic? I think there probably is. I mean, hell, I'm lonely. I've been lonely for almost 10 years. It sucks. It's not fun. I don't understand how people like being single and alone. But I'm so used to it now that it doesn't really bother me. But let's see what she has to say.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right,
No,
folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by Shoe on Head. Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else.
The man question.
Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Holtzker.
I'm going to skip the sponsor.
And thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
Why are men and boys...
I'm sorry, Shoe on Head. Please forgive me. I skipped the ad.
struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't.
I listen to country, metal, and classic. I don't think it's very derogatory. I also listen to a lot of love songs, too.
Be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori. Did I say that right?
Hikikomori.
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits.
I
Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time.
Let's talk about me too. I really need to go out more, but it sucks because it's fucking expensive. If I could, I would at least go. I would love to go out at least once or twice a week to bowling. You know, maybe go out to see a movie or a restaurant. Besides video games and such, bowling is my favorite thing. I love bowling. If I could do it once a week, I would. Shit's expensive. I really hope the raise I'm getting is going to be a good one.
In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with
I'm sorry, that's just, it's a bit creepy to watch somebody stare in the camera at you. I mean, just sit there and go, you know, for like minutes or hours on end. Just to see that, it's just a little bit creepy.
Eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So basically, if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, 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 buy a new microphone and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends when I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers? Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I can just tap, 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 Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5.
Oh my god. The way she put that. Wow, that's confronting.
Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI?
Okay, this AI girlfriend shit is just horrible. Honestly, it should have never been made. This is just horrible.
Girlfriend. We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains.
I'd say the one problem I've always had with dating apps, be it Tinder, mainly Tinder, but there seem to be more and more bots and more women who say, hey, can you go over to my Instagram or can you go over to my Snapchat and talk to me there? And you go over there, then they say, hey, can you go to this campsite or can you go to this site and try and prove that you're not a criminal, prove that you're real, or pay to talk to me? It's like, no. I'm on this dating app to find somebody that I can spend the rest of my life with. If I want to look at some chick naked, I can just go to like Pornhub or something and get it for free. Why the fuck would I pay to watch you get naked for me? I'm on this dating app because I want to find somebody that I can love, spend the rest of my life with, and have kids with. Stop trying to make me go to your fucking campsite. It's like 90% of the dating apps now is just some person trying to get you to go to some site to give them money. Fuck off. The dating sites are for people who are trying to find somebody to date or hook up with, whatever, but mainly to date. Stop trying to advertise your fucking OnlyFans or your campsite.
Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating.
Don't get me wrong. In and of itself, there's nothing wrong with dating apps. My dad and his wife found each other through the Facebook dating app when it was called Zoosk at the time. It's just called Facebook dating now, but at the time it was called Zoosk. And that's where they met each other, and they've been together for I know it's less than 10 years. I can't remember how long they've been together, but they're married. And they love each other and they're happy together. Well, the place they live in is fucking packed for just two of them. But yeah, I mean, dating apps in and of themselves is nothing wrong. But it is also a good thing to go out and meet people. You can't just rely on these social media sites or these dating apps just to meet somebody. You do also need to go out and meet people. That's both men and women. And women. Don't just expect the man to do all the work. Ladies, you also need to put in some effort to, go up and say hi to the guy and start the conversation. You can't just expect only men to be doing that.
They're lonely when it comes to friendship, too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics, the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call this space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces.
The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake. Just need to be compassionate to everybody that, deserves that has earned the compassion.
For not doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, "I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't." The
responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered...
See, stuff like this is the reason why men don't talk about their feelings or anything, because it's not taken seriously. It's seen as a fucking joke. We get shit like this for whenever we talk about problems that us men face. But as soon as we talk about stuff that women face, oh my god, everybody comes together to try and help. But as soon as we men talk about problems that we're facing, shit like this is happening. It's not taken seriously, it's laughed at, we're told to man up, be a man, go cry about it, it's thrown back in our fucking face. It's not taken seriously one fucking iota. That's the reason why you don't see a lot of men talking about their problems. And why we internalize everything. And why we eventually explode and either take our own life or take a lot of people out with us. Start having compassion for both sides and not just one over the other. This is why society is failing both sexes. And failing it pretty goddamn hard with men.
Being smarter. I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. genders. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence. By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognized most of the sort that look like me are the problem. I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal.
I've seen this plenty of times. Don't be a rapist. Why don't we just teach men not to be... You... You realize how illogical saying that is? Nobody grows up wanting to be a racist. People don't grow up wanting to be evil. Some people are just end up being bad and do bad things. You can't just... Some people are so illogical.
Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being. It's not hard. Is brain dead advice? Brain dead advice like get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like
kids, don't be racist.
Incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save...
Here's a problem with consent. Yes, always get consent, no matter what. Consent is important. Now, there are plenty of people who have given consent, only to later on regret what they have done, take back their consent, and end up destroying the person's life. Once you give consent, you can't just take it back. You've given consent. Now, you can take it back before it happens. That's totally fine. But after you've done what you've given consent for, it doesn't matter if you regret it. You can't take back what you just consented to do. Consent is important. Some people.
The planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be, become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks. Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me. Just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better. I promise. Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of
Batman be very disappointed in your ass for jerking it to porn.
you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak.
I don't feel entitled to anything. My mom has told me this. Nobody is entitled to anything. Nobody deserves anything. If you want something, earn it. Respect or anything else. Nobody is entitled or deserves anything. If you want something, earn it. If you want a girlfriend, earn the girlfriend. If you want a boyfriend, earn the boyfriend. You don't deserve companionship. You don't deserve sex. You don't deserve respect. You don't deserve companionship. You don't deserve friends. You don't deserve anything. You achieve or you earn all that stuff. Once you earn it, try and keep it. Don't be a dick about what you've earned. Nobody deserves anything. Work for it. Earn it.
When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue.
Oh yeah, there was another thing.
Now it's like how men feel off just and beat one out loneliness.
Where was it?
It looks like saying, no thanks.
Alright, this thing. Aside from procreation purposes, men have not become obsolete. I will say this to you. You do realize that about the majority of the infrastructure, and I know this has been said by many of people, the majority of the infrastructure and shit that is running and being kept running in this, basically in this world, is by men. We have a giant ass fucking purpose on this planet. I guarantee you, if all men disappeared from this planet, aside from keeping humanity going, humanity would go extinct if either sex disappears. But if men disappears, the infrastructure and everything would fucking collapse. It would. It's just how it is.
All of you. And one side, here's how they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social
Let's see, where were we?
Kicking the bucket. Now they try to get and feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue.
Oh, like women don't do the same fucking thing? Again, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy.
I hate that all these feminists, the only argument they can ever come up with is the patriarchy. It's the patriarchy this, patriarchy that, patriarchy this, patriarchy that. What patriarchy? There's no patriarchy. Can you legitimately and logically prove that we are living in a patriarchy? No? Then shut the fuck up about it.
Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, it. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke?
UK builders go woke. Study finds 3/4 of tradesmen discuss their feelings with colleagues, while 2/3 shun the fried breakfasts, and nearly half say they are history buffs. poll of 2,000 builders found that 2/3 regularly talk about their feelings. Nearly half said that they were history buffs, and 60% favored science. Research shows outdated stereotypes about builders do not reflect the reality. Men don't talk about, generally, most of the time, don't talk about their feelings. Because a lot of the comments she read is the type of responses we fucking get. Nobody, besides a very few, give a single shit about a man's problems. They'll care about a female problems all fucking day. But as soon as a male problem comes up, they don't give two shits.
To open up to your fellow men and discuss history. Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomenon. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less.
Alright. I'm going to say this. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is no such thing as toxic femininity. Masculinity and femininity, if in and of themselves, is not toxic in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that is toxic are the people. There are toxic men and there are toxic women. There's no such thing at all as toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. It's just some sort of stupid social word that people have ended up wanting to come up with and run with. There's no such thing. Masculinity and femininity are both important to have. Neither of them are toxic. They're just toxic people.
Less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s. But social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently. Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity. Boo-hoo, you're lonely and have no friends and are suicidal? Wah. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies.
That's another thing. It's much harder nowadays with how expensive things have gotten to go out and socialize. And our wages have been stagnant for years, if probably 10, 20, 30 years. They haven't kept up. They haven't kept up with inflation. So people don't have the expenses to go out and do things and socialize. So people nowadays are more lonely than ever because it is too expensive to go out and socialize. Especially with gas, people can't go anywhere. I mean, where I am right now, gas is over $4. Probably still going up. I haven't been out in a couple of days, so I have no idea what it is right now. Last I looked, it was $4.09 a gallon. Fucking expensive for here in Minnesota. So it is financially difficult to go out and socialize, which just makes the loneliness even worse.
And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high suicide rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases.
It's the thing. Here's the thing with a lot of this is in general, not all women. But in general, a woman normally wants somebody that makes more than them, that is stronger or masculine, can provide, can protect. So when you see a lot of these women who out-earn a lot of these men, they won't date them just on the fact that they don't make more than them. Whereas a man, we don't give a shit about your social status, how much you make or anything. We will date some fast food worker that makes $5 an hour. We won't care, as long as she makes us feel loved, respected, and she's loyal, and she makes our house feel like a home. We will date her. Men and women are completely different when we come to dating. Women are generally a lot more picky when it comes to their partner, which is fine. Everybody is allowed to have a preference. They can be as picky or as non-picky as they want. But generally, women are a lot more picky when it comes to dating the opposite sex. So therefore, there are a lot of men that are disqualified because a lot of these women want to go after the top 10% of men who probably won't choose them, because these top 10% of men have a plethora of women that they can choose from, because they out-earn basically almost all of them. They can provide and protect for them. They can do all this sort of stuff where a lot of these other 90% of men can't do a lot of that, so a lot of them are disqualified. So it sucks, but it's reality. I mean, I got nothing against women for being as picky as they are. It's their preference. They can have any sort of preference they want.
And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left does enough to appeal.
Dude kind of looks like a zombie.
The hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it suits.
Like I said, nobody deserves anything. You want something, work for it and earn it. For both men and women.
Them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have, that's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like,
they like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this.
It's true, though. Both the Republicans and Democrats, they care more about themselves and lining their own pockets if it helps them. The last thing on their minds is helping the American people. Their foremost thing on their minds is helping themselves and enriching themselves. At least that's what I believe.
But the right is, at least rhetorically, offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this Discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men, because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
they like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around How do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of just, how do we help men? And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder. Disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem because first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are
she's right, a lot of men's value, a lot of our value is seen in what we can provide. It's not seen in who we are as a person. It's seen, our value is only seen apparently in what we can provide and what we can make. We're seen more as workhorses than human.
Natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No, not him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years, and even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question.
And
why
wash
do you
your
think
ass.
male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye.
When it comes to male loneliness, it doesn't surprise me at all that people are gravitating towards Andrew Tate and the Andrew Tate-like people, because they're actually bringing up the problem. They're talking about it. They're trying to help, even though I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate says. I see the value in some of the things he says, but I don't agree with everything. But they bring up these problems. They're talking about them. They're listening. And that's why a lot of these guys are gravitating towards them. So, it is what it is. Male loneliness is a real thing, and people are seeing it as a joke. That's sad. So, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. If there are any other videos you'd like to see me react to, be it music videos, songs, or just any type of video, please comment them down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Please make sure to go check out my Twitch channel. I stream to it Tuesdays through Saturdays. The link to that, my Twitter, TikTok, and Discord are all in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.